And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Escape from Alcatraz is a great movie. The Alcatraz is just something that's always fascinating people. It's shown up in The Rock and other movies, and it's the prison that no one ever escaped from. But apparently, people have escaped from it. Have they? Well, in this game, it's your job to escape from it. This is a kind of cooperative game. I don't know what to call this. I want to say semi-cooperative, but it's not like most cooperative games. Most cooperative games, either they're purely cooperative, or they're cooperative with the possibility of a traitor. In this one, there is no traitor, really. In this one, there is what we call the Scapegoat. This is a cooperative game in which, if you win, everyone wins except one guy. Well, that doesn't sound like fun. Well, let me show you. The board is put together with a bunch of room tiles, and each of these room tiles is a certain spot. Here's the chapel, and there's actually two sides to each one, and they have basically there's a different function, a special ability that you can use in that one, and so you can place these completely randomly, and you also can use either side. So the combinations are huge. At the beginning of the game, and at various points during the game, you're going to need to pick a random room, and there's a set of room cards, and you just draw one, use that room, and then reshuffle this deck again. It almost would be easier, I think, to throw in a 12-sided die and just roll to see which one happens. In fact, if I was planning on keeping the game, that's exactly what I would do, just to save trouble. But, you know, whatever. At the beginning of the game, there'll be certain things that you need to accomplish. What you're trying to do is you're trying to escape here, but you need to do different parts of the plan. There's 6 different parts of the plan, and each player is going to show which part of the plan they've done, A, B, C, D, E, or F on their player board. They also have an area here to keep track of items that they get over the course of the game, to keep track of their strength and their money. But let's say you're trying to accomplish Part F here, which is hide drugs. For that, you need to have no guards there. You can't have any guards, so you need to hide drugs. And then you need to have drugs, and you need to have tools. Or maybe open the manhole. You need 2 tools and a key for this. And there can be at most 2 guards there. And you need at least 2 people, 2 of your guys working together. And there's different ones for different letters. So maybe Part F might be steal the prison map. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to put 3 of these out randomly at the beginning of the game, and they're going to go in certain rooms. And then each turn of the game is going to happen. There's going to be at most 21 turns of the game, because after each turn is done, you're going to add a police officer, boys in blue, get it? And they'll go to a random room on the board. All right, and when all 21 police officers are on the board, or prison guards, I should say, then the game's over and you all lose. So you need to accomplish the plan before that. At the beginning of each turn, players are going to vote on who is the scapegoat. Now, the scapegoat is good and bad. You'll use a cube, and everyone will hide the cube in their hand, and so you vote for other people. Whoever gets the most becomes the scapegoat. Now, the scapegoat gets a little scapegoat card, and they have some wonderful things. First of all, they get an extra action. Everyone gets 2 or 3 actions, depending on number of players, but they get an extra one. And if they're voted scapegoat twice in a row, they get 2 extra actions, and then 3 extra actions. Okay, so if you keep voting for the same person to be a scapegoat all the time, you're going to keep giving that person the same number of actions. Now, each player then will take their actions in turn order, starting with the start player. An action might be moving from one place to another. An action might be starting a riot, which causes a police officer to run over. See, if there's too many police officers in an area, those police officers will stop you from completing your actions. They're a real pain in the neck, these police officers. If there's 1 police officer, you're usually pretty good, but if there's 2, it'll cost an extra action to do anything. If there's 3 police officers in a spot, you can't do any action other than actions that are free. And if there's 4, you need to leave that area totally. So you might want to move these guys. You also can do something at each place. Some places are very simple. For example, here at the guard room, you can take a key token, and you can put that on your player board in the spot where you're supposed to keep those things. Here, you can trade things in. for the goods you need. Up here, the visiting area, you can just get the goods you want. Over here, you can get a tool. You know, so I'm showing you the basic size. Here you can get 3 strength. Strength is something you can conserve and use on a future turn to give you extra actions. Money can be used to bribe guards. See, I can go over here and gamble and get money. I can go over here and get a blackmail card. Now remember, each board has different sides and different things will happen. These blackmail cards, which has a really mean looking goat on it, I guess it's to show that you're to blackmail. These can be played on your turn, and there's other things you can do as a free action basically, but only if you are the scapegoat that turn. So these will usually hurt other people, for example, until the end of this turn. All locations are considered to have 1 more guard. Well, that's kind of jerky if someone plays it. Or choose a location, no one can go there. Or you can take something from another player. In fact, you can always steal from another player as an action. Now, what you're going to try to do is you're trying to accomplish parts of the mission. So you might want to go over here to the cell block and complete Silence the Rat. Well, you can see for that there can be at most 1 police officer there, and you need at least 1 guy to be there, and you need a weapon, some clothing, and a tool to complete this. Now, if I have the weapon and the clothing, I can't complete it, but if you're there and have the tool, then on my turn, I could take an action and complete it. So let's say between the 2 of us, we have what we need. Fine. So I'm the one who completes it. I spend 1 of my action points to complete it. What I will do then is on my card, since that was Plan D, I will mark off that I have finished Plan D on my card. Huzzah! I have now finished Plan D, and we're 1 step closer. But then I will draw a card from the top of the deck, and whatever letter it is, I will also get that, and so will everybody else who has helped me in that location. So being the one to complete the task is great. However, if the scapegoat helps, he can help, but he doesn't get any reward. So, sad scapegoat. So this keeps going on and on. You're trying to complete all these tasks. Every time we complete a task, we look at your card. So here, for example, I have C and D. And then we look over here, and this player might have A, B, and C. Well, that's all well and good, but we still need E and F. Well, then these 2 players show up, and this player has E and C, and this player has B and F and E. And we say, all right, we have all the parts that we need. We have A, B, C, D, E, F. That's great. However, we look at the scapegoat, and we'll say the scapegoat this turn, whoops, the red player here, is A and C. Okay? He's the scapegoat. And we say, you know what? We don't need you. We have A and C through another player. So you get left behind. And everyone wins except this guy. Now, if he had something that you guys needed, let's say he had E and nobody else had E, then you would have to take him. And then you would look around and say, is there anybody here who is indispensable? And if anybody is, you don't need them to complete the plan, they get left behind. And if everybody's indispensable, then you go down through a list of tiebreakers to see who you get left behind, and there could be a big fist fight about it, but they say do what the prisoners would do in the rules. So that's how you play. Like I said, there's lots of different variations where you can turn over the cards, but remember, the goal is to win the game before the 21st guard gets out there, and make sure you leave a guy behind. This game has certainly drawn a lot of mixed reactions amongst my play group, amongst the people I've played it with on the internet. The theming is fantastic. I love the idea of running out of prison and leaving a scapegoat behind. And when I first heard about it, I thought that's great, but the problem is I thought that'd be with a bigger group of players. With 4 players, it's a little tighter than I might think it might be. The thing is, it all looks so cool. You have different rooms where you can get the different things from. There's guards coming around. You can start riots. You can get all these things. You're picking a scapegoat every turn, and there's so much theme infused in this game, and when you play it, I just don't feel it. I don't know how to describe it. There's so much theme put in the game. It's written in the pictures of the cards. It's the actions all make sense thematically, but I just feel like I'm collecting stuff and going and completing missions and you know, each turn having some kind of vicious vote to see who the scapegoat is. And the cards that you draw for missions can be random sometimes, and you can get really lucky or not so lucky. And I don't know. I've tried it. I mean, there are some games where it can be, like Cosmic Encounter is one of my favorite games. And it's possible in Cosmic Encounter to have a game where everyone wins except one person. And that's happened before. It's happened to me, where I've been the person out. And I don't really mind that so much, but that's kind of a rarity, and it's kind of almost funny when it happens. While in this game, it is certain to happen. You're either all going to lose, or one person's the scapegoat. And since one person finds out that they're likely going to be the scapegoat, well, then it's in their best interest just to mess everybody else over. Really? You could say, don't vote for me to be the scapegoat, because I'll play these cards to hurt you. Okay, so they'll pick someone else to be the scapegoat, but then they don't really want to do that either. The game seems to have these mechanics in place, and it's not a bad game. It just feels soulless. I don't know how to describe it other than that. It's a cool idea, and I applaud them for it. But it just doesn't work out in practice as much as I want. You have to have 4 people who really are going to play as thematically as possible, because if one of them is left in the dust, then they are just going to hurt everyone else, or if someone plays poorly or oddly or weirdly, it really throws the whole game off. So this isn't going to go down in the annals as one of my favorite cooperative games. I really hesitate to call it a bad game. It's not. It's well designed and stuff, but it just seems to crumble a little bit, especially near the ending, and it leaves you when you're done, you're like, okay, we won or we lost or whatever, but either way you feel a little unsatisfied, and that's not what I want. I want to, when a game's over, like, woo, what a game. And this one, it's more like, we all really can't look at each other after the game's over. And if you play with people who can get offended, then definitely don't play this one. So this sounds like a really horribly negative review, and I don't mean it to be that way. I think you will find play groups that will really enjoy this game. It's just that, I don't know, it was lacking that something. Not the name or the idea, but the execution just didn't work out the way I wanted it to.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.
Shut the door!